We have some breaking news from college basketball where the Purdue Boilermakers will start the season as the #1 team in America for the first time in school history. Purdue, followed by Houston, the runner-up from last season. Then comes Florida at #3, UConn at #4, and St. John's #5 there in the preseason AP Top 25 poll. So St. John's has never been ranked this high in the preseason AP poll, and also for the Red Storm, their first appearance in that poll since 1999. So it has been a minute there. You're looking at 1 through 10, Texas Tech rounding out the top 10 there in the preseason AP Top 25. We look for 11 through 20. It kicks off with Louisville. We got Arizona in the mix. Bama, who's found their way to a Final Four a lot in the past couple of years, coming in at #15. We have Tennessee, Kansas, and Auburn rounding out the top 20. All right, let's welcome in our college basketball analyst, Matt Norlander. Matt, it's been a minute. Great to see you, man. The AP Top 25 just dropped here for college hoops. Purdue coming in at #1 for the first time in school history. And Matt, when I was looking at this, I'm like, Purdue has got to have been ranked #1 before, right? But no, this is the first time for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, and heading into the season, no less, a big moment for that program. Obviously, they got to play the games. Matt Painter quite clearly has got his eyes set on more than just preseason accolades. But it is interesting in this regard. Purdue at #1, Houston at #2. College basketball is a sport that is covered and is very analytically driven in a number of facets. And the Houston Cougars are #1 in all of the predictive metrics. Meanwhile, Purdue has been 2 or 3 in the analytics and the computers. Here, the human voters decide to go with Purdue and the likely preseason national player of the year in Braden Smith. So the Boilermakers have been occupying near the top of the polls for many years now. Zach Edey obviously having the back-to-back national player of the year runs. A season ago, Purdue was obviously a high-quality team near the top of the Big Ten. And now bringing back not just Braden Smith, but Trey Kaufman-Renn as well, who was one of the 15 or 20 best players in the sport last season. They've got some good key transfers. I don't disagree with Purdue at being preseason #1. The Boilermakers have a case, but because Purdue has not yet broken through, won a national title in recent years, I think there's going to be a lot of, okay, now let's see if you can go out and prove it. But I will note that either Purdue or Houston, whatever your flavor is for preseason #1 overall, don't worry, we'll get to your Gators in a second here. Both of those coaches are as well respected as just about anyone in the game. Gary Parrish and I, my colleague at CBS, we just polled 100 coaches over the summer about which coach they expected to be the next to be a first-time national champion coach. So we asked the guys in the game, and the 2 most common responses were Kelvin Sampson 1 and Matt Painter #2.
All right. Now, you kind of touched on Houston a bit there, Matt, but want to get to them solely. They're last year's runner-up, of course. They're bringing back some big names like Emmanuel Sharp. So, sure, you can make an argument for them coming in at #1, but how do you feel about them coming in officially at #2 here for the preseason AP Top 25?
Well, it lines up fine in this regard. Houston has finished #2 at KenPom the past 4 years in a row. Exactly #2. So it heads in #2 in the human polls going in. You mentioned Sharp. Joseph Tugler could be the best defender in the sport. Milos Uzan opted to come back after, the first 90% of the pre-draft process. Uzan was pretty set on going to the NBA, but the returns he got didn't indicate he was going to be a top 40 pick, so he comes on back. And Houston's got a lot of motivation. Think about how that national title game ended. I don't need to remind Jacqueline on that whatsoever, but for our viewers, a refresher, Houston did not even get off a shot. Emmanuel Sharp got deked out of his own shot to end that national championship game with the whimper against the team that's #3 in Florida. But the Cougars are as well established and reliable as any program in the sport. It was inevitable that they were going to be #1 or #2 heading into the season.
Matt, you certainly do not have to remind me how that game ended in the all of minute 30 seconds that the Florida Gators led for, and they came out on top. They're coming in at #3, the reigning national champs. Obviously, I got a little chip on my shoulder because, as one does, we're not #1, right? I understand the backcourt is not the same at all. There's no Walter Clayton Jr. to start there. But they kind of reloaded, right? They get Xavier Lee, you get Boogie Flan. So I'm kind of feeling like, come on, #2 at least. But you think 3 seems right when we're thinking of the backcourt of it all.
Yeah, 3 is fine here. I'm not going to reveal what I've got in my annual preseason top 101 rankings. We'll see that for later in October. but actually 3 is a little bit higher than I'm going to have Florida. But yes, you got to see a Boogie Flan, Xavier Lee, can they get the shooting? You get Thomas Houck back. He's going to be key, obviously. Micah Handlogged. And they've got a lot of key front court pieces that are returning. You saw there Florida even receive some first-place votes. So the reigning national champions, highly respected. And because they have arguably the best front court in the country, I think that's why the Gators were perched so high in the preseason AP poll. Also a very good thing for college basketball, broadly speaking. I'm going to segue here to UConn as well, Jacqueline, because you have Purdue, a team that has been really, really good in recent years. Okay, that's number one. Houston, coming off a national championship game, made multiple Final Fours under Kelvin Sampson. You have the 2 of the 3 teams that just made the title game. They're back near the top of the polls. That's really good. And then in 3 and 4, Florida and then UConn, those are the 2 most recent national championship schools. So UConn, with a surge, a really good portal offseason. You've got them as well. So there's a lot of familiarity. This is good for college basketball. There's been a lot of transients, obviously, with the portal and a lot of players going from one place to the other. But to substitute for that, you have programs that have been good that are expected to be good again. And that's why I think this preseason top 10, we can dive in a little bit more if you want, Jacqueline. But I actually think it's good for the general sports fan that when they see the news that the preseason AP Top 25 of men's college basketball has come out, they're going to identify and understand why a lot of these teams are placed where they are. And I think that sets up for what I think is going to be a truly outstanding 25-26 season for college hoops.
Yeah, and for fans too, right? You go from the highest of highs one year, and then if it's in this NIL era and the portal, then it's a completely different team the next season. It's hard to kind of build upon that and build enthusiasm and excitement. So that's certainly exciting. I know you kind of touched on UConn, but I want to get to UConn and St. John's. You have these 2 Big East programs rounding out the top 5. With UConn, to your point, they've been a contender. They've been in that conversation with Dan Hurley there. We kind of expected. St. John's, though, the highest ranking that we've seen from them ever in the AP Top 25. Is that correct, Matt?
Correct. They've never been this high in the preseason AP poll. St. John's is number 5. I'm going to give credit to my colleague Gary Parrish because he has had all offseason St. John's at preseason number 1. Now, a lot of people have faded off that opinion. I appreciate GP for standing strong on that. I actually think that because CBS Sports being what it is, and obviously the leader of all college basketball coverage that you can find out there, I think GP might have actually led some of the AP voters along the way a little bit here. And because he had them preseason number 1, it was enough to help convince maybe some of the voting conglomerate to get them into the top 5. So that's 2 Big East teams in the top 5. UConn and St. John's clearly on their own tier within that conference going into the season. Marquette, Creighton, we'll see what other teams can do, but clearly UConn, St. John's, a great rivalry there. Consider Big 10 at number 1 with Purdue, Big 12 at number 2 with Houston, SEC at number 3 with Florida, and then you've got UConn and St. John's in the Big East rounding up the top 5. That's an elite rivalry that has had some great games, and I expect some more to come in the months ahead here between the Huskies and the Red Storm.
All right, let's go down to number 8 because we have BYU coming in with their top recruit, AJ Dybantsa. What are your expectations for BYU here as they're starting the season as the number 8th team in the country?
Yeah, this is a tad lofty for me, but I get why it's there. It's not just Dybantsa, although he's the headliner. Rob Wright from Baylor is going to be an excellent lead guard that Dybantsa can play off of. Dybantsa will be in the conversation with Cameron Boozer of Duke. Duke, oh, by the way, 6th in the preseason poll after being the best team metrically speaking a season ago. Boozer and then Darren Peterson at Kansas, along with Dybantsa. Those are the 3 big freshman names. But you look at this, and Dybantsa at BYU, their preseason top 10, number 8 overall. It's going to be super intriguing. I can't wait to see this team. Can't wait to see what Dybantsa can do. In the Big 12 specifically, Jacqueline, between Dybantsa and BYU at 8, and then JT Toppin and Texas Tech is in the top 10. JT Toppin, a returning first-team All-American. He and Braden Smith at Purdue are the only returning first-team All-Americans in men's college basketball this season. So Texas Tech gets rewarded. And so if I can just go big picture here on you, the SEC clearly, as you well know, the best conference. It wasn't even close. The best conference in college basketball history in single-season terms a season ago. Now, I wonder if the SEC comes back a little bit and might you have the Big 12 or the Big 10. Will one of those 2 conferences actually take the throne of being the best conference overall in college basketball? You see here the Big 10 and the SEC, each with 6 schools apiece being represented. The SEC, we're getting 4 teams in the top 15, and then the Big 10 on the back end of that. I'm actually super high in Illinois. I think they're ranked a little bit too low there, but fascinating stuff all around. And then one more thing from me. You see Kentucky there. We also have blue blood representation in the top 10. Duke at 6, Kentucky at 9. Credit to Mark Pope in year 2. He brings back Otega Owe, one of the best players in the country. We've got a little bit of everything for everyone in this preseason AP Top 25. The season starts 3 weeks from when we're talking right now, Jacqueline. It's going to be an awesome year in college basketball, I promise you.
Certainly looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to these rankings you were talking about where I'm feeling like you're going to be a little low. on the defending national champions, but we'll get to it a little bit later on in the month, Matt. We appreciate it joining us here on HQ as we're breaking down the AP Top 25 preseason poll for college basketball. As Matt mentioned, the season is going to be here before you know it. So in the meantime, make sure you check out the Eye on College Basketball podcast with Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish, getting you caught up on everything you need to know in college hoops. You can watch right now by scanning that QR code on your screen.